Hey, what's up, guys? Today we're going to be launching a new piece of our content. It's going to be dubbed Smoke Pit Sessions. All right. So basically, what the concept is we're looking to sit down and sort of broaden out our content from entrepreneurship and sort of into the realm of other things that are veteran related. It could be VA home loan. It could be VA education benefits. It could just be current trends that are trending within the veteran community, whether it's suicide, depression, whatever the topics are, or whether it's just life, motivation, goals, aspirations, professional development. I mean, literally anything. This is where all this type of stuff happens, right? In the military, it happens in the smoke pit. Guys go out there, they bitch, they moan, they tell stories of combat, they tell heroics, the topics are ever ending, right? Like it just keeps on going and going. And that's sort of what we're trying to encapsulate here with the smoke pit sessions that we're going to start launching. We don't have, a set schedule at this point. We're still trying to feel out this concept and develop through it. So, please bear with us. Please provide us any feedback, questions, comments, whatever you guys can give us to help provide you guys better content. That's really what we're looking for. So me and Elvin are going to kick this week off. Just me and him. We're going to talk about sort of more or less like who we are, what we got going on in our lives, what are some of the business things that we've got going on, and sort of all the different things that drive us, that motivate us, things that we fear that we have going on, all this crazy stuff that everybody's sort of combating and facing in life. We're just going to talk about it, and we'd like to hear back from you guys because we'd like to try to tailor some content to better suit your guys' needs and wants. So with that being said, thanks guys. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe. DotMil Gear, the relaunch coming soon, early November. Thanks guys. We'll get right into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the Veteran Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, it's just me and Elvin, my co-host, and we're going to give an update and just kind of talk some stuff, entrepreneur, talk a little about what's going on as far as what we got going on in our world with our respective businesses, and give some insights as to our mindset and our approach and how entrepreneurship has affected, our traditional life as we know it. So, Elvin, what's going on? What have you been up to?
Bought a new mic, first off, so that's good. Yeah,
that's been a hot topic. I've gotten a lot of comments about that. What's up with your boy's mic, bro?
Working on it, and that's the best part. I think that's a clear metaphor of how entrepreneurship works. You find the breaks, you fix them, and then you move along. And
you start broke, right?
Yeah,
like you start broke. You're low base right there. You can't get a nice Roadmaster, or what is it, a Rode mic?
No, yeah, that mic was that previous mic. I've had that one for years, and it served me well until recently. And so, it's at some point you budget and you make that next move. And so here we are right now.
Clear. Yeah, I'm stepping my game up. I'm starting to dress up the studio here. I got my Jocko Willink, Dakota Meyer canvas here from Flipside Canvas. He was a guest on our last podcast. That's actually dropping today. But yeah, so I got that. Have you ever seen the Good video?
No, I have to check that out. Let's put a link in here, and then we can show everybody what is right there.
It's a classic. If you need something to pick you up, you need to get your mind right. You're down in the dumps. You're feeling sorry for yourself. You just watch this little 2.5-minute video, and it'll pick you up and get your mind right.
I'm a fan of that, and I understand that some people maybe they haven't gotten into that, but like waking up with motivational videos is a real thing, and that's like something that I super like doing. Just motivational. You just look up motivate, and it gets you going. I think people have to understand that in the first 5 minutes of your mind waking up from wherever you are can dictate the rest of your day, and so just tossing that out there. If you find yourself in a negative attitude, maybe ask yourself, did you wake up and go straight to Twitter? Did you wake up and read those hot topics trending? Probably not the best idea. Next time, seriously wake up and look up a motivational video and then start your day. Guaranteed it's a better start.
Yeah, that's something I've been trying to do, is not look at social media instantaneously upon waking up. check the views, check the likes, see what's going on in the news, especially right now with everything going on, the election and everything. But I know I want to touch on this because you brought it up. I know you're a big WWF, WWE buff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Have
The
you
wrestling.
ever listened to The Ultimate Warrior?
Yes. I know he can be a bit out there, but if you pay attention to the huge metaphors he's trying to say, I think he has a lot of good motivation. So, like, that's in character. Out of character, are you talking about that video
I'm
where he's
talking. Well,
like working
he
out
had
with
the
the
whole.
kids?
Yeah. That's a
That was a
great
good
video.
one.
But he had
Yeah.
like, I mean, he's obviously deceased, but
Yeah.
he had his podcast, or sorry, his YouTube platform, his channel, and he would do like these. He calls them injections of inspiration. And
Nice.
bro, they are intense, dude. You think that video of him squatting with the kids is intense? He lets it rip. But he's actually a super intelligent guy,
Mhm.
very well read, very educated, and you don't really get that from the persona, obviously, on WWF, WWE. But you wake up to those videos, you'd be ready to fucking run through walls.
Yeah, man. Hey, so I'm gonna go check some of those out. I might have missed one or two, so I'm gonna check those out. And yeah, not a tangent, but like a lot of people, and it's just not just like wrestlers, but everybody. I think we try to think everybody's one dimensional sometimes, but I think that's a great example of like how everybody's built for more than one thing. So, when they see you, it's not just the Marine or the veteran, it's also the entrepreneur and the 17 different routes. And I think you'll see that a lot of times where people get classified as one thing, but you shouldn't classify yourself as one thing, so just one of those things to remember.
Yeah, and if you are one thing, you should. No, it's a good point actually, because if you do view yourself as one thing, I mean, you should be looking to add depth and different dimensions to yourself, whether it's education, even watching a podcast, just exposing yourself to a different idea or a different ideology, whatever it is, whether it challenges your viewpoint or whether it helps kind of hunker you down within the viewpoint that you have. I mean, and reinforce it. That's there's nothing wrong with that, but you definitely should be challenged, right?
Hell yeah. So let me ask about challenges. What challenges have you faced recently? Just entrepreneur wise.
So right now, I put the DotMil Gear website platform on pause. And right now I'm working with a brand manager, a marketing platform, and an individual who's basically helping me redesign the entire website to capture, I guess, my original idea, which I didn't really know how to execute on. And so I was starting off selling clothing, coffee, hats, stickers, the whole thing, which is a very, very, saturated market, right? Like it's almost like every veteran, they get out. Whoever starts a business,
coffee and t-shirts, or t-shirts and coffee.
If you're enlisted and you get out and start a business, it probably has coffee and t-shirts in it, right? Like,
and nothing wrong with that. Just find a way to make yours the best t-shirts and the best coffee.
Right. There's just a ton of competition, and there's very, very established brands out there. You got Grunt Style, which I'm not personally like a fan of their clothing, but there's nothing wrong with them either. Like it's just, but they have a huge market, right? Like they're killing it. You got Black Rifle Coffee, they're killing it. Great brand. So I had this original idea of basically creating a platform or a marketplace where I curate veteran products, and then I sort of sell them to anybody who really wants to buy, but really geared towards veterans, helping veterans. So you have a veteran business, they sell their products on my platform, and then ideally, other veterans or people that like to support veterans will then buy veteran-owned products, right? So it's just a centralized hub where people can go to search everything veteran product. Does that make sense?
Kind of like
an Amazon.
Amazon. It is, right? Yeah, I like that idea. I don't think it's ever been done, and so there's basically kind of like who can get to that first, and the name itself, DotMil, kind of speaks for it. Like if there was ever a perfect name for an Amazon for vets, DotMil is probably the best one.
Yeah, I mean,
so take advantage of that.
Everybody that's in the military, or has been in the military, at least in modern times, right? Like you're given an associated email, whether it's Elvin.Lantigua at usmc.mil or Air Force or whatever it is, or Air Force .mil, sorry. So I think it's synonymous, and it definitely captures that, that audience of who I'm looking to target, I guess, as a business owner. But again, I mean, it's there to promote other veteran businesses. I mean, that's really the main driver of the business, right? So
Yeah.
what do you got going on?
You know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. No, but so right now I'm actually officially going to be going full-time realty. Very excited in about 2 weeks. First, I'm taking a nice vacation to decompress from one end, and that way I can, like, you know, be energized and kind of hit the ground running, as we like to say, for when I do go real estate full-time. And so the way that worked out was, you know, I did talk to, you know, my college advisor. Love my job, love my students, and, you know, just have to let the people that I work for know that I want to pursue this. And so, you know, at first it was like, really? Like during this time? I'm like, yeah, during this time. At some point when you know, you know. And, but, you know, I'm pretty good at my job. And so we worked something out where I'll be able to still help the students out, you know, on my off time. So I am blessed to be able to somehow leverage that situation to the benefit of everybody. You know, that's what it's all about for me. It's just win-win. How can I continue to help, but also is there something else I can do to free up my own time? And I think you recommended a book for me based off of that, or somebody did. It's called The 4-Hour Work Week, and or the 4-Day Work Week. So, you know, I'll probably post something up here so everybody can check it out. But it kind of goes towards that. And, you know, I feel like if you're really good at something, if you're just good and you know you're good and everybody else knows you're good, then you can go and do anything that you could put your mind to. And it sounds so cliche, but it's kind of cool to, like, I don't know, I'm 34 now, to see it in fruition, to see the hard work pay off. And right now I'm kind of feeling that. So kind of enjoying that and getting ready for this next step.
Well, we were talking before we went live, but I mean, you were working this job, and then you did it so well, and you had such a rapport with the school that they basically afforded the opportunity to continue the job full time on a full time salary, but yet still pursue your real estate career, right?
And that takes a lot of trust. You know, you don't just, you know, they understand, and I've been able to show that. So that's the other thing. You know, when you want to talk about long hours, you know, I'm taking real estate when it was part-time, like I'm treating it like it's full-time. So I'm doing my 8 hours of work while I'm doing 8 hours or 12 hours of real estate. You know, some nights, you know, I'm finishing at midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. consecutively, waking up and then starting it over again. And it's for this moment. It's for moments like this where I'm able to prove. So when I do say something like, hey, I can still do this job, they can actually see that. You know, there's situations where I have been emailed at 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I'm going to answer that email. So that those little things always add up to something bigger. And so it's easier said than done, but this is what it takes. And if you find yourself seriously ready to take that leap, that's what's going to take. If I was single, I probably would have just jumped ship much quicker. But being married with kids, I did need to think about, you know, who else am I like taking this risk with, you know? And I'm not saying I'm going to fail, but I am saying that my wife just has as much say of what I do in my life as anybody, you know? So this was the hopeful plan that actually worked out. And so here I am today.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's awesome because it's coming to fruition. And I guess what I want to know is, what's the motivation? Like, why? This is a pretty complex time for you, right? There's a lot going on. You've got kids, you've got a wife, you've got a full-time job, you're switching careers into real estate. I mean, what's the drive? What's the drive, and what's the end state?
It's not one thing. It's a collection of 1,000 little things that finally kind of, you know, broke the camel's back. I'm not sure how to say it right, but it's 1,000 little things, you know, where just when, I don't know, like, I guess the biggest thing, the one moment that I remember that did push it over was last November. And, you know, I'm from New York and I live in Cali, and I don't get homesick, but during the holidays, you know, this particular time, it actually did hit pretty hard. And it really killed me that, you know, I had already spent, I usually have enough to go on a vacation, and I went on a vacation with my family, but then I came back and now I didn't have, I couldn't go visit my own family at the time. And I didn't like that feeling. I didn't like the feeling of being stuck. That's the word that kept going to my mind, was stuck. It's the same exact word that came to my mind when I joined the Marines. I was stuck. I finished high school. I was stuck. And I knew if I kept doing what I was like where I was, I needed to change something drastically. If not, I would continue to be stuck. And so for me, I guess that's the word, was stuck. And so, you know, I turned to real estate. I took it serious from there on, you know, went to study, took the test and everything. But I guess that's the big motive. It was a motivational word. I don't know if everybody has that, but like my motivational word was stuck. And I never liked feeling stuck. You know, everybody grows up differently. And for me, I never liked that.
Well, I think a lot of people can relate to that. I mean, myself included. I feel stuck in a lot of ways too. I mean, there's a lot of things that I want to do, and there's a lot of different roadblocks. And I guess the thing about entrepreneurship is that's what you're supposed to do, is to find ways around the roadblocks, right? So if you're sort of inclined to be a problem solver, or to look for ways to circumnavigate issues, like entrepreneurship is definitely something that affords you that opportunity to do on a daily basis, right? Even taking, you know, the original DotMil platform. It's like, well, I went down this path. I sort of faced a block. There was a point where I was like, well, I can keep going down this path, but this is eating up a lot of money, and I'm not getting as much traction as I was in the beginning. And it's like, well, what do I do? Well, I've got this other idea. No shame, right? I found a way around it. I figured out what I needed to do to execute on the idea. And now I'm in the baby steps of this process, except this time, you know, I'm investing more in the beginning than I did originally, right? So like whether it's time, money, all these different factors, like I'm trying to invest in all the right things, and do some of the things that either A, I didn't know about, or B, I didn't know about, that I was like, well, I'll just figure it out. Like, you can't always do that. You can't always wing it. I'd love to wing it. I've winged it my whole life.
Yeah.
But, you know, at some point you've got to find that structure. But as far as, you know, what motivates me, I don't want to be average. Like I got this thing, like in everything that I do. Like I used to take a lot of my physical, you know, attributes, and I would try to always do and accomplish things in a physical sense. So obviously, like I was a competitive powerlifter, right? And so it was always, you know, hit this number, you know, go to the meet, total this, squat this, bench this, deadlift that. And then, you know, I've been an athlete before that, and everything was baseball driven, and you know, I wanted to get a scholarship. I got a scholarship. Everything was physically driven, right? And you know, then I transitioned to ultra running, and I started running, you know, 50 milers and all these crazy races. And then now I'm back into jujitsu, and it's like, all right, at what point do I have to try to focus on myself and my longevity as far as from a financial aspect? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's sort of when I made that switch, and I don't take that lightly. So I'm trying to use all the energy that I used to put towards my physical endeavors, and now try to put it towards my business ventures, essentially.
But all that, you know, what's cool about it is that it all transfers. Everything transfers, right? Like, you know, you say you was a physical trainer. Somehow what you learned there transfers over to what you're doing now. You know, everything done in the Marines, it's always translated. And that's something to remember. That's how there isn't failure. You know, there's a pivot. That doesn't mean there's a failure. You change something or you try something new, but there's something you learn prior to that. Like, you know, this isn't my first shot at something entrepreneurial. I did multi-level marketing, right? And I don't know, like people love, you know, multi-level. Guess what? I learned so much. Never sold a single thing. They got all $500, but I would never take back a single hour that I spent doing that. It taught me rejection. It taught me about motivational speeches. It taught me about the basis is like looking at motivational videos. Like those are a thing. Like it taught me about Napoleon Hill. It taught me how to read self-help books. This opened a brand new world. And without failing there, right? And I pivoted and tried something different, but I never said, oh, this didn't work. It just didn't work for me, that situation. And so, but I was able to take all that education and I still use it to this day, you know? So I think that's a big thing, is to try something, do something. You got an idea and you don't know what it is. I don't, you know, I feel like that's a kind of a curse, right? Like if somebody wakes up, you know, I want to be an astronaut, bro. I don't know what I want to be. I want to be an entrepreneur. Well, what do you want, entrepreneur? I don't know, like whatever. I'm gonna learn it and then I'm gonna do it. And so that's kind of like where sometimes you can get stuck. And if you're that person that has that same thing, like whatever it is, I can figure it out. Then just do something. Do something. And if you need to pivot, pivot. But I guarantee you, whatever you learn when you were doing that something, you're gonna keep using in your next venture.
Yeah, I mean, it's a collection of experiences, and the way in which you leverage what you learn from those experiences, what sort of propels you forward, right? To me, everything used to be about lifting. Get under the bar. I don't know if I can lift this weight. Well, the only way to find out is to get under the bar and then do it, right? Like, yeah. And if you get stuck in the bottom of the squat, well, I guess you're dumping it. And then what do you do the next day or the next week? You put the bar, or you put the weight back on the bar. You get back under the bar and you train, right? You identify your weaknesses. Okay, yep. I got weak hamstrings. I got a weak low back. Okay, I need to train low back. I need to train hamstrings, right? And then from there, you start building on those weaknesses, which start to ultimately leverage you forward, right? And that's exactly where I'm at right now. I mean, this is my third business, almost technically it's the same business. I'm just kind of rebranding it and switching gears. So if you want to consider it 4, you can consider it 4. Like, but I'm not done. You know what I mean? Like, right. There's just no way I'm going to stop, right? Like, I'm never going to be defeated. You're going to
get to that next bar, you're going to get under it. And if you can't pick it up, you're going to find out, oh, how do I pick it up? And then you can go.
Exactly. Forging a new path forward. I mean, that's it. It's like land nav. Yeah. There's a big hill in the way. Let's just go around it, right?
That's it.
You got to make sure your math is correct though, right?
Exactly. Except this is land nav without the plot points. You know?
Exactly.
That's what it feels like sometimes. And you got to look around and say, exactly like, hey, man, like, what'd you find over there? Oh, the box is over there. All right, good looks. And like, go.
I never did that.
No, I might have. Maybe once or twice, But
I'm not going to lie, though. In Corporal's course, so when on my last deployment, I was the battalion commander's his radio operator on his personal security detail. Nice. So they had issued the entire platoon these 4X Garmin watches. They were like, I don't even know, $300 watches. They're GPS watches right on your wrist. So like, I had this watch. I'm in Corporal's course. We got to do this land nav course. And I'm like, I already didn't want to be there to begin with. So I was like, well, fuck this, man. And no one knew what they were doing. No one, we were in the air wing, right? So like all these other people had no idea how to fucking land nav. Oh, excuse my language here. They had no idea how to land nav. So I got my partner and I'm like, I'm doing everything myself. And eventually I was like, you know what? Screw this, man. Give me the grid. Give the grid. Typed it into my watch. I'm just walking like this. Finished the course. I beat everybody by like, I don't even know, an hour and a half. Instructors are sitting there like, man, you're good. It's like, yeah, about that.
It's resources though, right? You had a resource, you utilized it, and it took you further and faster than everybody else, And hey, listen, I could switch any situation and talk about the benefits of it. And so you do exactly that where you're at now. It'll put you a head start against other people who probably think a bit more old school. No, you must be done this way. I think that's a great example of, how fast we're moving with technology all the time. And, if there's a certain way that you like to do something, anybody listening, maybe think of the next newer way. And you might not be used to it. And I think I'm coming up in an age now where I start looking at some things like, that's not for me. But I try to stop myself and see how other people are utilizing that platform. TikTok is a great example of something where it's like, it's not for me. But I see other people on it. My daughter's on it all the time. And they're getting millions of views. And those views are like driving traffic towards their landing pages, which is then driving business. So, it may not be for me, but somebody else who did figure it out is benefiting it and getting to where you need to be faster. So that's just one of those lessons for me, and just a way to take your watch and make it into an awesome thing.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a valuable point, because I'm very anti TikTok just because it's new. I don't want to be dancing on a video and then shedding clothes
What
and
challenge?
then clothes come back. Yeah, like it's not part of my personality, I guess. So I've sort of discounted that one. But
No one's saying that like, oh, you have to use it. It's just saying that understand there is an opportunity there if need be, and I think that that's an important thing to capture.
yeah, without a doubt. So as far as real estate goes right now, what have you got going on, and what are you seeing in the market specifically in San Diego?
Also, right now, we got a couple of clients, and luckily, the way everything's been set up, they're gonna be ready to buy as soon as I get back from my vacation. And so I'm always upfront about that. Hey, I'm gonna be gone for this time. Does this work for you? I always like to be direct and truthful. I think that's for me one of the things that I'm not saying things out, but I just know that's what I do. Hey, I'm not gonna be like texting like, oh, I can't do it, I'm busy. Meanwhile, I'm like, on my vacation. I'm just gonna let you know, hey, I'm gone for this time. When I get back, definitely going to have some showings. The market itself in San Diego specifically has not slowed down. What you're looking at is a high seller's market. So if you're ever thinking about selling, whatever it gets listed at, you'll probably sell it $20,000 to $30,000 over the asking price. That's how it's going right now. And
Wow.
So the simple reason being is this is supply and demand. And right now, the inventory is so low in San Diego because no one is selling. I assume no one is selling because of COVID. And so nobody really wants to have people, strangers going through their home, during all hours of the day. And then they come home and, all these people who had a bug and now they pass it to everybody. At the same time, you have on the buyer side, the lowest interest rates that have existed definitely within our lifetime. You'd have to go back 40 or 50 years before you can see similar interest rates. And so what that does is it brings everybody into like, I want to buy a house because now it's like low interest rates. But guess what? Everybody kind of falls into this $400,000 to $600,000 range, right? Because there's a max, and usually you're around there. So what you just had was a few people are selling around that price, and about 100,000 times more people are trying to buy at the same exact price. And it just turns into another wrestling term, the Royal Rumble. And you have sometimes 19 different offers on the same home. How are you going to compete against that?
Wow.
And I mean, how that is a question. It's not rhetorical. That's what you need to be asking yourself as the buyer, understanding that you at this time, you're not looking for a deal. If you're looking for a home, they just aren't, the deal is the home. And so that's just where we're at specifically in the San Diego market.
So is that a double-sided coin though? Because if you're a seller and you're selling high, which is great, but let's say it's your primary residence, you're selling high, you've made this, ideally you made a good profit, and then you have to go buy high.
Exactly.
So
what happens is that's what you have to do. Like, yeah. So it's good to sell high. And then if you can, there's tactics that, certain people can use to get a better deal on the buyer's end, and so it just depends on where you're moving to. Some people want to downscale. So some people are having you have a good, decent job and, hey, listen, my kids moved out. I don't need this 4-bedroom anymore. I just need like a 2-bedroom, me and the wife, so we can move in. And so that's a great situation where you are, you're already good profit wise. You're going to sell high and you're probably going to buy something for a lower amount. Once again, I think, in the Dakota podcast, we're talking about the amount of Californians moving to Texas. So you can buy, like right now, you can sell your home ridiculously high, go to Texas and buy 3 of them.
Yeah.
So that's those are the ways. So yes, if you're going to stay in the same area, but those are things you talk about with your agent and what is your motivation to sell, right? And so your motivation kind of drives what the next move is. This is a huge military area. So these are military members as well that are buying their home and now they want to sell it, and they're not selling to stay here. They're selling to go to North Carolina or wherever the next orders take them. And so again, if you're coming to San Diego, yes, buy high because it will go higher. And then when you leave, those profits kind of stay in your pocket, assuming like, listen, from San Diego, like literally, where do you go? 29 Palms. Like, it's really just kind of like a different place, a much usually less expensive place from San Diego.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is, aside from purchasing real estate, like personally, like I'm going through and refinancing my home because of the interest rates. So you're seeing people who are buying homes for super, super cheap interest rates, but you could also refinance your home for super cheap interest rate. So, I mean, I just got a 2.25, which is like the lowest that the VA will give you. It's incredible.
That is nice.
Because I mean, I'm trying to position myself ultimately to move out of this house and then use it as a rental. And then obviously reap the benefits of doing that. So the way in which I can get my mortgage down is by refinancing, especially and taking advantage of these low rates. And then, you know, the Fed's come out and said that these rates are going to stay low for what, like 3-4 years till 2023. So that gives me a little bit of a window to refinance at a low interest rate, get my payment down, allow me to create some liquidity when someone comes in and rents the the house, and then ultimately get you know, a low interest rate when I go and buy something else. So it's something else that I think other people should be thinking about, especially homeowners.
Another thing to remember is when the rates are low, it's because the housing prices are so high. It kind of bounces off of that. And so if you want to wait for the prices to go lower, you're also waiting for your mortgage rates to go higher. So you got to find that perfect medium that works best for you. And so, the question is, when do you want to start owning, and if you are owning, that is a great question. Do you want to sell your home for a large profit and then move into, use that as a down payment? So that was the other thing going back, is you take that profit and you dump it all into your new home, and it should keep your payments about the same. So basically you kind of upgrade it and maybe a couple of $100 more, but you added like 2 or 3 rooms to your home. And that's how you keep that low. Or, you're going to have to find a way to hustle in a way, because if you're VA, you're going to have to refinance to let go of that VA token and then utilize on your next home. So that way you can get that zero down. But if you're not VA and you're a regular customer trying to go FHA, you're going to have to find a way to get that 5% or 2.5%, whatever it is that you rate money down to get to the next home. And then so for me, the same thing is what I'm thinking about is I think talking to you actually got me, you know what, I should probably refinance as well. So I'm in the middle of that process. I'll let you know how that goes. But then that actually kind of slows me down because I'm a single VA. I believe you're dual VA because yourself and your spouse. But for me, I only, this is actually going to, once I refinance, I can't touch that VA for a couple of months. And so this is where I'm going to be at. But again, like you said, it'll give me time to see, do I want to? I don't want to sell my home. Like I don't, like the mortgage is so low, like so ridiculously low. I don't ever want to sell that home. And I know it's going to be something easy to pass down to my children. So I'm almost forced to like think, okay, so then how am I going to save enough money to purchase a second home while taking care of the first one and then working that out? But these are good problems to have.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, I mean, so are you going to refinance then?
Yeah, I'm currently looking into that. So I already submitted, to submit. I'd like to see what it looks like. So again, that's the other thing with REALTOR, like, what are the rates and stuff? I don't talk rates. I'm the person that finds the house, but I do know a couple of great people who will get you great rates. And so I'm going through one right now to see what is the rate that I'll receive, and also what are my options, because you could refinance, but then was it the IRRL refinance? There's a bunch of different things. Yeah. Exactly, a Streamline. So I'd like to find out basically like what's the best step for me.
Well, that's what I'm doing is the Streamline. Although it does take up your benefit, obviously, my wife has her own benefit, so it doesn't really affect me the way in which it's going to affect you. But the other thing is that there's also a lot of talk about rates falling even lower. So let's say you refinance with the VA Streamline, you're still using your token, so to speak. Now you're saving even more money, right? Because your payment's down, so you're pocketing that money. maybe you can go and put that aside until another year or 2 years when rates are even lower, and then refinance again under a traditional loan, receive your benefit back, and now you've reduced your cost even more.
Yep. And so another thing that I look at as well is that when you're refinancing, shoot, was I going? But when you're when you that's right. When you're refinancing, at first I was like, oh, I can refinance. Let me refinance for like maybe 15 years, right? Because I want to, in my head, I want to cut the costs as low as possible. But then my friend brought something up interesting. He's like, no, you should refinance for the 30 years again. It kind of scares me to put another 30 years and start that over. But he was saying you refinance, it's going to bring your payment lower. And what will happen is that you continue to pay the exact same amount you were before. And you're actually paying that extra money you saved will be going towards a principal, which then in turn actually pays down your home even quicker. And so that's another tactic that I found very interesting. I might be looking into.
Yeah. So with my refinance, from the initial start date, I will be paying more in principal than in interest. Whereas on my first loan, obviously you're paying way more interest than you are, principal wise. So, and the other thing to consider too is like whatever your home or whatever you owe on the home, unless you do a cash out, whatever you owe on the home, you're financing that amount. So if you bought your home for 200, but you only owe 100,
that's true as well.
You're expanding that out 30 years again, but you're only doing it out on 100. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, there's all sorts of strategies to cut that time down, whether it's an extra payment, a year or whatever it is that you do. But I mean, especially if you get it down low enough, you want to keep the house, you can always rent that property, especially in San Diego. So there's a lot. I think a lot of people are trying to jockey and position themselves in positions, especially with real estate, to capitalize on what's going on, because for every tragedy, there's a moment to capitalize, right?
Yeah, no, seriously. Yeah. And, it hurts going through some things, but and it's okay to go through it, to whatever it is you have to go through emotionally, but then just start thinking about that next step, COVID being the perfect, this 2020 itself being the perfect situation of where some sort of tragedy may strike, and then you need to find, okay, where do we go from here? And what's stopping you outside of you? That's always the first barrier is you. After you, then I would say you're the toughest barrier, because once you get past yourself and your own insecurities and your own what ifs, but maybe not, your thought process is positive enough to get you to past the next barrier, which is outside of you, and which is, I don't know. It's easier when when you put yourself, hey, you gotta be a little narcissistic. I'm not gonna fail, I'm going to do this. But that mindset will take you further than you probably ever gone in your life.
Yeah. So what's your current biggest fear as it relates to entrepreneurship, not necessarily 2020 as a whole?
That I'll need a job. Right? That it doesn't work out, but it's okay to have that fear. It's not like I'm succumbing to that fear. I just know that that's a fear. Like, damn, what if is always the fear, but it's also something that you can't spend too much time on, use it for.
But that's also a driver though. Cause what if I fail? What if I succeed?
Yes.
There's the opposite side of that coin.
And so that's what I go through, is just, I guess if I had to, so quickly, if I had to think, what if is always the biggest fear, but it's always, like you said, the biggest drive. What if it does work? And at this point, like I said, there is no what if. I don't think what if. It's there, but I just keep it it's like if there was a box with a lock, that's where I keep that. And really, I don't think in what if terms. I'm thinking it's gonna happen. I don't know. I've always had this thing where it's when people my family or whatever, it's oh, it's Elvin, he'll figure it out. He always figures it out. It's like a gift and a curse. It's man, it's not I'm just figuring it out. I'm going through some real tough stuff. Yes, I know, I might just figure it out, but there's a painful process that goes into that. And it's not just oh, he'll figure it out. It'll be nice, but I don't get too many, too much help, because that's the mindset. But, I don't also try to be oh, woe is me. I'll just, no, you're right. Screw it. I'll figure it out. And so that's really how I try to use that. You know, what if is always, even in a person that's driven, what if is still there. It's just, you have to learn to just put that away. And so I think when I first started, somebody, hey, what if it doesn't work? And I was like, I guess I'll die. Like, I don't, my family will leave me. Like, I don't know. I'll live in the streets. But that's not going to happen because I don't live in the streets, and I'm not going to die, and I'm going to do it. And that's it. There is no what if about it. And so it's, you know, to get to there, I don't know how somebody gets to there, but that is the thought process that I try to take with this at this time.
Yeah. Try to broaden out the view and say, like, okay, it's not so much what if I fail this thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to win the larger game, right? Like, life isn't one game. It's a collection of games. So within that, you're going to lose some games. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But my goal is to win the game at large, right? Like, for me, the fear is, I always say this, like, I want to wring the rag of my potential. Like,
Oh, that's nice.
you know, like, you get out of the shower, whatever, you got a towel, you wring the rag, or you get up through a hard workout, you wring all your sweat out, right? Like that's what I think about it. It's a visual for me. It's like, I want to wring that rag, and I want to make sure that there's nothing left in there at the end of the day. Right. That's why I find, like, a guy like Goggins, and I think everyone finds it, like, a guy like Goggins so motivational. It's like,
Yes.
this is the
Adequate.
guy.
Did you send that one? That was a good
Yeah.
video. If anybody's
Yeah.
seen that, go look him up on Instagram and look up that video where he's stretching on the floor and talks about you know, the people talking about his feet, and how he was saying he doesn't how do you say he's not weird, he's just not you.
Yeah, I'm
You know,
not crazy. I'm
looked-
just not you.
Exactly. It was great. And he was like, you can keep your adequate. And he's like, oh, 30 minutes is adequate. Everything's adequate. He's like, adequate isn't part of my effing vocabulary. So you can be adequate. I'm going to be more. I'm going to be crazy. And that's all right, because that's me. And so that's the way I try to think about that. Like, that was a really good video. So
Yeah, that one hit home. And that's sort of what I'm, you know, somebody that I obviously want to emulate. There's a lot of people that want to emulate that guy, right? Like, we all want to find out what the secret sauce is, but the secret sauce in every motivational book is do the work, right? Like, and that's his message. He doesn't give you a book. He just gives you the direct message. But that's sort of the drive for me. And that's the fear, is like, I don't want to be average, right? Like, I've got a lot of life goals. Like, one of them is I want to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
nice.
It's not because I want to be Billy Badass or be the baddest guy out there, but it's something that requires a lot of time, training, effort, right? Diligence, consistency, like, and then at the end of that, you achieve X, right? Which is the black belt. In life, financially, like, I want to be a millionaire, not because I want to, oh, I'm a millionaire and I want to have all it's because it's something that takes dedication, consistency, effort, discipline to achieve this goal, right? It's the same thing in a marathon, right? You get from the start point to the end point, you go through the little ribbon, you've accomplished the race. It's not about anything other than I accomplished this. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not, oh, I finished the marathon, I'm going to go brag to everybody about a marathon, you know, or whatever it is. Like, there's certain things that I just want to accomplish for the sake of feeling fulfilled within myself. Does that make sense? And there are things that are not achievable, or not I shouldn't say that. They're hard to achieve. There's a lot of work and trials and tribulations that go into that. And that's where the essence is. That's where the fulfillment is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If I could piggyback off that, I was like to say, right? But I know exactly what you mean. It kind of brought, you know, I know you were asking what's one of the biggest fears. One of the biggest drives as well, the opposite, is that, you know, in my head, I feel like I only have one life, and I want to do that. I want to experience that. I want to do that. And that itself is like, I don't know, in my head is like, I'm really going to die and not have done this certain thing or accomplished a certain goal. You know, so simple as being physically fit. You know, I spent probably the first 22 years of my life at $115, $120. You know, people don't really like, oh, you always, no, man. Like, I was first off, like the skinny neighborhood of people don't get enough love because everything's about like, you know, getting bigger to smaller. But this, you know, I feel like getting smaller to bigger is so overlooked and it sucks. All right.
Go ahead, give yourself
It
a
was,
pat on the back there.
yeah, man, but no. And so that was the thing. I legit thought like, damn, am I really gonna spend the rest of my life in my mid-20s like never looking the way I know I can look? And so that was like a drive that got me, you know, into the gym, you know, and then am I really gonna spend everything? I was like, yo, am I really gonna spend the rest of my life and not having I don't know, like the perfect relationship within that causes me to work on myself so that way I can be the best husband and father I could be for my wife. And that's just the way I look at things. Even realistic, am I really gonna spend the rest of my life stuck? Am I gonna like or in this box and I can't get to that area? And so I'll take that and then I'll see, well, how do I get over there? You know, look at that person. He's over there. Is that person better than me? No, I just think they're doing things different. Well, let me go see what that is and then go do that, you know? And so that's a big drive for me. It's like, you know, I want to do that over there. And then actually figuring out how to do that before I die.
I couldn't agree more. Sometimes I find myself hopping around too much though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys that likes to experience everything. I mean, since I got out of the military, I've had a variety of different jobs, multiple jobs at the same time. Like, and then I'm like, I mean, it's sort of why I launched myself into entrepreneurship is like, I got to stick to one thing. Like I got to make this happen. Like I got to stop, you know, diving and delving into other things and just buckle down and shoot an azimuth, start putting my head down, left foot forward.
Put your Garmin on and go straight
That's
to
it.
the spot.
That's it. Except business there's no Garmin for business, right? Like that's a cheat that you don't have in business, right? I mean, there are obviously things that help you get to where you want to go, but you know, that end state can change, right? Like, and sometimes it should change, right? Like,
I think there are landmarks, and the thing is, you don't know where it's taking you. That's the thing. So, like, if we were to go to that metaphor, like, there's definitely landmarks. There's people you can speak to, and those are your landmarks that have already been there. There's connections you're going to make, and that's going to be a landmark. And you don't know exactly where it's taking you. You don't know the end position, but you do know that, okay, I'm here. Now I need to get to that next slammer. And when you get there, then you'll be able to see a different horizon. You'll have a different set of landmarks that you have to get to. So I think that's it's a cool way of seeing it.
yeah, I like that. That's pretty good.
Well, guys, that about wraps it up. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you always for your support and your continued support. Please, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Help us out. Help us boost our following. We're really trying to get this thing to gain some traction. Please be on the lookout for the DotMil Gear website. It will be going live again for its relaunch somewhere around early November, mid-November. All right. We got some big things coming. We're really, really excited. Please share this with a friend. Share this with somebody that you know who might need a pick-me-up, who might need some motivation, who might need some perspective, or who might just generally be interested in what it is that we're doing and where we're trying to go. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate you. See you next time.